Let's talk about what's going on. Republican Congressman from New York, Tom Reed, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. Great to see you, Congressman.
Thanks,
So you heard the speaker there. This is a lot of one-time spending, but you're having some tough conversations among conservatives on the House side. Why?
We are. Obviously, the national debt and the debt crisis that is on the horizon that we all recognize, and why I ran for Congress in 2010. And Admiral Mullen's statement that the biggest threat to our national security is our national debt. Those words ring with me and with many of my colleagues that are concerned about adding to this debt with deficits of $1 trillion just aren't sustainable for our kids and our grandkids' future.
The spending is being called by some as Obama-like. Which is problematic, I would imagine, in a midterm election year.
Yeah, it is unbelievable to me that, we have to get the spending under control, and I think everyone recognizes that. And to make a fundamental decision like this is causing me grave concerns to support increasing the debt load on our grandkids and our kids that are just unsustainable and will ultimately, if continue to go unchecked, threaten our national security, because we won't have the money to take care of our military, take care of our non-defense programs, because we'll be spending it all on debt payments and interest payments as you see interest rates continue to rise.
Congressman, with all due respect, I hear politicians like yourself, particularly among Republicans, who say these things, but when it comes right down to it, there are not enough of you on the House side to make this not go forward. Is that the case this time? How are you voting on this budget deal?
Right now, given what I know and what I see, I'm not supportive of this deal going forward. And there's many of us that are expressing this concern to our folks, to our leadership. And at the end of the day, maybe they'll get enough votes to get it to the final stage. But from my perspective, I ran to solve this debt crisis problem. And to be part of the effort that is giving up on paying for these things, to have at least the reforms in place that long-term lead to deficit reduction, to me, that's not the right place to be. And we're going to be part of the efforts to try to solve this problem going forward. But today, taking this step is the wrong step in the wrong direction.
How many of there are you, like you?
Oh, I'm not sure exactly. I know the Freedom Caucus came out with their 31 votes that are against it, and there's others there. So if this is truly a bipartisan proposal, maybe they'll be able to get to the finish line. All I can do is control my vote. And my vote today just says this is not acceptable for the future of America. All
right, let's flip the switch a little bit partisan-wise. Nancy Pelosi, 8 hours, that set a record in the House history. What was the conversation like as she was on the floor and as it was wrapping up? It's not part of this budget deal, DACA.
No, it's not. And I believe that's an appropriate place for this to be taken care of, separate from holding other items like spending, government shutdown, have a debate on the issue of immigration and Dreamers on its own. And the speech yesterday, a lot of us were just kind of watching and just saying, wow, that's a long time to stand on the floor and make your argument. And I give her credit for doing that. But at the end of the day, more about solving the problem than actually having political theater. Let's solve the problem by having an open, honest debate on the issue.
Can I ask you about cutting spending? I know that that's what you want to do, and when I look at some of the things, certainly no one is against raising the cap for the military, so I'm trying to understand how the conversation got to where it is now with certain elements.
I think a lot was driven by the fact that this was negotiated in the Senate. Yeah, you had Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer cutting a deal that clearly it's easy to spend money. It's hard to take on this debt issue.
Apparently.
And that's what we ran here for. And that's why I think what will have to happen as we move forward on this, we do have to get to the other side of the ledger when it comes to entitlement reforms, discretionary spending. But what we need to do is make sure we honor the commitment that we made when we ran. We ran to get the debt crisis under control. Give us some reforms. Give us some reforms in mandatory spending. I'll throw one out there that's an easy one. Able-bodied people without kids on Medicaid, if you put a work requirement where they volunteer in their communities to fulfill that work requirement, it saves $120 billion. That's an 80% supported issue across America. It's time to tackle these hard issues.
Are there enough entitlement cuts that you could make that could approach what this current budget deal is going to be spending, $300 billion?
You're obviously going to be beholden to the bean counters in Washington, D.C., but if you reform the long-term entitlement spending curves, now you're really addressing the fundamental root causes of the problem. And I'm okay in the argument with the bean counters in D.C. whether or not this will address the deficit in their time window. So long as we're making the reforms and changing the laws to reform these for the future of America, I can be in that fight all day long. But at my heart of hearts, I'll know I'm fixing the problem that's causing the debt crisis to explode upon us.
All right. Congressman Tom Reed of New York, we appreciate you talking with us. The Senate votes in the next few minutes cloture to stop debate. We're expected it to be a very long night as it makes its way to the House. Thank you for your time.